Welcome everyone to the Magical Frequency. On today's episode, I wanted to cover the concept of space and time in the simulation. Hey, no! Boy. So if you enjoy things of this nature, be sure to subscribe to my channel. My name is Chrissy, and on this channel, we have been consistently now talking about the simulation theory and consciousness. So I'm a channel that has very different views on certain things. Some things are definitely unique. You may have not have heard some of these things that I might be talking about in this video. Give me a thumbs up for that alone, because I don't know many people covering simulation in the way that I am. Gentleman on here, Elmer O'Lockyer, I think his real name though is David, and he covers it from a very heavy Neville perspective. And this is not where my channel is at all. I have certain things about Neville on my channel because he, of course, is one of the pioneers in the law of assumption community. And I love the practicality of the law of assumption, because you are able to just assume whatever and you will do have whatever you want. Just assume anything to be a true. So that technique in and of itself is fabulous as far as I'm concerned, but that is not where I'm going with any of this channel. I am very simulation at this point centric, as well as intertwining this with higher consciousness concepts, not intertwining this with one particular guru or anything like that. This is all different things compiled into one with no specific guru. It's me synthesizing all of the information that I've learned thus far in my life, with all the crazy experiences too that I had when I was much younger, that I might get into at another time and place, maybe on my membership portion. I'll drop a video in there. Now, I feel very strongly about the fact that we are living in a simulation. I have for quite a while now. Give me a thumbs up for even being 40 years old out here in these YouTube streets doing videos like this, because I know many people may think I'm crazy or that I'm a lunatic. All of the things are unique to also myself that I've come up with, like the whole checkerboard theory, which I will get into in this whole concept of space and time. Videos from here on in, I'm going to start with certain graphics, and that is that everything is mental, everything is mind. All the concepts that you hear people digging deep about on any YouTube, on any TikTok, on any book, on any piece of data that you consume, it is all coming from somebody's mind, and we have to keep that in mind, because if it's not coming from yourself, how can you verify it as truth? You are putting, feels like, your power in somebody else's thoughts. You have to understand that everything that you consume is coming from somebody else, unless you are actually writing it down, creating it, expressing your own unique ideas. How else would you know something is an infinite truth? God himself would have to come down and strike us all and show everybody something insane that would shift consciousness in a way that we would keep up with, or that would be fully convinced of these things. When you think about religion, when you think about any type of scripts, they're all inspired. Nobody, from my understanding, said that they have seen God sit down and write something out to the tablets, to the people. It was always somebody else penning it. So it is open to interpretation. I can receive whatever frequency that I want to receive and then duplicate it on any type of tablet or any type of video media, and then it could be recreated and consumed, and it's up to the consciousness observing it whether or not they are going to take what I'm saying as So truth is whatever you accept it to be. That's why if you put too much weight in any of the tools from manifesting, quote unquote, or any of the gurus, you just have to remember that everything is within you and nothing is created nor destroyed. That means that everything is already in existence. So there is no reason to look to something outside of yourself for a truth that you cannot discover on your own. How can you trust any of the sources that you're receiving information from? When you read any kind of text, who wrote the text? What was in their mind when they were writing the text? Be reading something and just regurgitating certain things that people made up. And I'm not saying that gravity don't exist, but remember, we've also coined the term gravity. I could say it's not really gravity and we're looking at it and interpreting it the wrong way and shed some sort of light on it or add some sort of chemical that we're not aware of or something, or some sort of ethers to it, and then be able to mess with gravity like you can when you move off of this specific planet. This is why I do believe that this is also a simulation. We can play with certain ideas, the sun coming out at the same time every day. Ever notice that? Like a simulation or like a game, there's certain repetitious things, certain patterns that keep cyclically happening over and over again. And then maybe when they don't follow the regular patterns, those are glitches in the simulation. So in my opinion, time is just a program. It is a human construct. We have come up with the idea of time and then have put labels on it, because what we see when we experience time here in the 3D often is entropy, and entropy obviously is the decaying of 3D around you. And I do believe that is on purpose in the simulation, because everything cannot be evergreen. It is a cycle because it is always trying to discover itself. So if you're always in pursuit of discovery, you have to have unseen. If you look at it like this, if you have seen everything there is to see, you have maybe seen perfection and there's no longer to be in existence. We are in a state where we can only see certain amounts of space. There's a percentile. I think it's like they say we can only see 1% of the observable universe. So that means there's things out here that we cannot see unless we shed awareness or bring awareness or mold them into materiality here in the 3D. When we think about time here in this reality, it's looked at as a past, present, and future, that you cannot alter those states, or that you cannot fluctuate in between them or move in between them. But when they look at things at a quantum level, it is observed that you actually can. There is the possibility to dance in between some of those states of past, present, and future. More so, it seems as if it's future better, because you can then mold your future, because what's in the past is in the past. You can always recreate past events, in my opinion. The simulation is always recreate anything in a new, expanded way, able to constantly upgrade or expand your experience over and over again. Think about time in that construct, because things decay, we get older. It's only forward moving. That is built into the simulation, because we come here as a video game, so to speak. It's like a platform of a game to experience with a 3D physical body, and we came to experience it and wake ourselves up over and over again. It isn't something where real concept of time. It's only because we have created it. there is decay and entropy, but that doesn't dictate how much time something needs to take. We always measure, of course, our lives with calendar years because we've put that on there. And I believe that if we continue to observe those constructs, we will stay within the confines of those constructs. Are people that have lived many years past 100, and there could potentially live, who knows, at this point, could somebody reach the age of like 200? There's a gentleman out here that I believe his slogan is "Don't die." He's in attempt to achieve this, and never say never. Not that I believe that we're even meant to stay here infinite amount of time in one vessel, or quote unquote avatar, or whatever you want to call it. I believe that the simulation is meant to recycle and create new experiences. That's why we are in a state of entropy. It's not really entropy if you think about it. It's actually in a state of regeneration. We just, as humans, have assumed it to be entropy or degeneration, and we visually see that we don't feel good when we get older, and we visually sometimes see that wrinkles start to set in or joints don't work the same. But I will say that doesn't always necessarily happen for every single person the same exact way. Some people age extremely well as far as I'm concerned, and they're at states where they could be in their 80s and they look fantastic. So it is up to you, I do believe, to be able to maintain those levels of frequency in the simulation, to be able to keep your avatar here in a prolonged manner. And that obviously means a whole bunch of other stuff like eating well, exercising, etc. In the simulation, it is an infinite time and space, and it is up to us to be able to be the conscious observer over that in time and space of infinite decisions. I'm obviously not the one who has come up with these theories. They have been come up with before about the fact that time is a human construct. I'm not the first person saying anything like this. There are other folks like Immanuel Kant. He argued that space and time are a part of the human mind's framework for organizing sensory experiences. Without humans to perceive events, the distinction between past, present, and future may not exist. Thus, as the conscious observers have come up with these modalities to be able to maneuver in the simulation, because we're put here unawake, and then it's up to us to figure out these things for ourselves. I definitely love the idea of the blockchain. With this one, imagine time as a loaf of bread. Each slice represents a different moment in time, but all slices exist together as a part of the whole loaf. In this view, future is not something that hasn't happened yet. It already exists, just as the past still exists. We only experience time sequentially because the way our brains process information. If the future already exists in the same way the past does, perception of a flowing time is more of an illusion created by our limited perception. See this next couple of images that I'm going to show. I'm trying to visually represent what this could look like. Have our blockchain of what we as consciousness observe as past, present, and future, what our human friends have coined past, present, and future. And we observe this quote-unquote illusion over what I like to put now, a film strip, like Vadim Zeland says. That's such a great analogy because it lines up perfectly with this block concept. So you have that film strip overlaid the block concept. Observation is what highlights whichever block of quote unquote time that you want to illuminate. I have another image here which is going to explain that when you have light that comes into your brain, it filters in through your eye and creates that checkerboard phenomena. The phytosphenes, I can't even say it, the checkerboard phenomena. And then what ends up happening is your brain will then fill in the rest to whichever block of consciousness you are constantly focusing on. And that is up to you whether or not you focus on which block. You can focus on past blocks, focus on present blocks, you can focus on future blocks. It's up to you. But past blocks, it would just be you creating old situations again in the simulation. That's why if you get hooked into negative looped thinking, you could be potentially creating negative situations over and over again to replicate in the simulation, because you keep highlighting the same things with your awareness over and over again. And energy might be the underlying code or raw data of the simulation running in the background of our reality. Our brains, when faced with incomplete or unfamiliar information, often fill in gaps with unrecognizable images or forms. This could suggest that when our brains encounter the unprocessed energetic patterns of the simulation, like phosphenes, the visual patterns we see when we rub our eyes in darkness could represent the primitive building blocks of the simulation. These random patterns of light, they default to familiar shapes and objects, constructing our perception of reality from this foundational code. The simulation fills in the gaps, keep the illusion of a continuous, coherent world. So I hope that graphic is able to show you what I'm seeing in my mind when I say these things, when I'm thinking about these theories, when I'm attempting to process these thought forms that I even have in combination for everything that I'm consuming. And then on top of that, things that I deeply meditate on myself. I've mentioned before the whole checkerboard thing. I have other videos on it. I don't know if anybody ever has come up with anything quite like that before. It is very different. I've searched. It is very unique to my beliefs. So I'm not trying to claim that this is some scientifically proven thing or that somebody else has talked about this and I picked up on it. This is my original idea from what I'm aware of, and hook me up with an award, a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm kidding though, but what I'm saying is anybody can discover unique ideas to themselves and ways to interpret the simulation. It's not just up to one person's opinions or one person's tool. The whole checkerboard thing is a tool to be able to maneuver in the simulation and be able to illuminate the sections of reality that I want to see on the movie screen, so to speak. I wanted to read this whole concept here as well. In quantum mechanics, time doesn't seem to behave in quite the same way. For example, in the realm of quantum particles, time can appear to behave symmetrically, and certain processes could happen both forward and backward in time. However, once you scale up to the macroscopic world, we experience entropy and we see the concept, quote unquote, of time. Quantum physics adds an interesting layer of complexity to the nature of time, suggesting that time might not be as linear as it seems. But the effects of entropy on large systems keep our experience of time moving forward in the simulation, so we don't have constant player restarts. This is my theory because I don't think that it is something where we have this infinite amount of time that we're supposed to just think that we have, and we could just keep trying to get new players or coming up with new realities and radical ways. This specific experience is very special. You could say it is spiritual. Whatever kind of experience you want to articulate this as, if it's spiritual, if it's a game, if it's religious, if it's just a journey of fun, if it's connecting with higher beings, if it's connecting with God all the time, whatever you consider this experience, there are reasons why we have come down here to experience the simulation. unbeknownst to us, that I do believe that once we exit this specific sim, it will be relayed to us, but it's already sort of relayed to us here. It's just that it will become so clear that we will laugh at it, so to speak, that all fear will be eliminated, because fear is something that is holding us back. Fear is a time waster. Fear is not a time collapser. That's definitely one thing to understand about the simulation. Fear will not collapse your time and space. It will push you even further away, not only by you not having thoughts, vibrations, actions, emotions towards what you want because you're living in fear, but the simulation will then emulate those feelings and thoughts and actions back to you because it thinks that's what you want. So your simulation will dictate and show you back whatever it is that you're constantly focusing on. It will grow that for you because it thinks that that's what you want, because you are focusing on it and you are granting whatever that is that you're focusing all of your attention. You're paying it attention, and then you're actually emitting frequencies towards it. So the simulation wants to continuously recreate that situation for you because it thinks that's what you want. You focus on something that were good, evil or not evil, even you want to coin it, whatever the thing is that you're focusing on. It could be a relationship, it could be money, it could be your own personal self, whatever you're focusing on and pairing those thoughts with. If you're pairing things like negative vibrations with situations that you don't want, you will continue to recreate those situations because the simulation will aid you to create those situations over and over again. That's why you should be doing what you want, focusing on what feels good to you, following your greatest excitement, and then pairing that with emotions that feel good to you. What feels good to you, pair it with what you want. Keep doing that over and over again, and you will shift the simulation. That's just what it is all day. You can call it the universe, you can call it the world, whatever it is that you want to call it. So here's some examples of when I quantum shifted and collapsed time. I was able to sell my house in a very short amount of time for the amount of money that I visualized. I did a couple of techniques for that, but I quantum shifted into a reality where I was suddenly able to become like a real estate agent. I ended up getting the house redone in like 2 months. I hauled my butt on everything. I was able to get an electrician in there. I did all the things that needed to be done in such a quick amount of time. And there were certain instances where I did get upset about stuff and I did actually hold the process up, but it was basically my fault. And I learned from those experiences. They were all lessons learned for the future. But at the end of the day, my space and time collapsed, and I was able to get that house on the market and sell it for more than even what I wanted, and was able to then take that and then move across basically the country to Florida in like under a year after that, in a market that was a seller's market, and I nailed a house for like $30,000 less than asking at a time when it was a seller's market. So there was multiple things that were just rolling collapses of a funnel, if you will. I got into quote unquote what Abraham likes to call the vortex, but what I like to call it in the simulation is just the simulation replicating what you keep focusing on and then pairing it with the good emotion. I wanted that house, so I kept having these great emotions, and I was making so much observations over things. I was looking at listings, I was looking at real estate stuff, I was looking at numbers, I was observing everything that had to do with what I wanted over and over again, and was manipulating it in different creative ways to be able to always be working out in my favor. And it did, because that's what the simulation will continue continue to mirror to you. So when you are expecting certain things, the simulation will start to give you what you're expecting. Will it always be what you expect in that moment? No, sometimes there's time lags. Sometimes things happen instantaneous. It's up to you to determine how fast or slow something can happen for yourself. A lot of my things, some had happened in months, some happened in a year, some happened, I was gifted a car within like, I don't even know, like months of me putting it on my vision board, and I wasn't even thinking about it. So it felt very instantaneous. So what is instantaneous to you? Does that mean like I'm thinking of $1 million and it just lands in my lap? Could that happen for somebody? Absolutely. I could put a product out and 1 million customers could come in. I could instantaneously be a millionaire. It all depends on creativity, what you're putting out to the simulation, what the simulation will emulate back to you based on what you were constantly paying attention to, what you were focusing on, and what you were pairing that with your frequency and emotions of thought. What electromagnetic frequencies are you sending out every time you're focusing, thinking, affirming, whatever it is that you're doing in your head all day, whether that's words, pictures, I don't know, feelings, sensations, if you can't see, if you can't smell, if you can't hear, if you can't taste, whatever sense that you have, feeling, what are you pairing that internally with how you're feeling and your sensations in your body that you are electrically eluding to the simulation on a rolling, ongoing basis, paired with your thoughts, because that is what you will continue to get. It will continue to mirror, and it will help you. When you're looking for something will pop up. You got to work for it a little bit. What feels like could be work, but if it's fun, why is it work? And it's really supposed to be a journey. Like a video game has tasks in it. It has journeys. If it didn't have them, what would be the point of playing? Do you understand? So again, I hope you get why time is a construct in this whole thing. Thinking about your awareness, are you focusing on your phone for 50 hours a week when you look at your screen time? Are you sitting in fear always of different things? Like, are you always sitting in some sort of fear state? Evaluate yourself. Are you hyper-focused on something that maybe could be a cult and you don't even know that you are? That's why awareness is so important. Are you focusing on things like health? Are you focusing on not health? Are you focusing on relationships? Are you focusing on work? What are you constantly focusing on? And then you can really take a look around your world to see what it is that you're focusing on, because it will be pretty much in front of you, and it is up to you to control your awareness of what you're looking at. So, and I wanted to just leave this with, just don't put awareness on things that you don't want, because time is malleable and flexible, in my opinion. If you're putting awareness on things that you don't want, time feels constricted. Time feels as if it is taking forever. If you are in a constant flow state, that's one way I do believe you can beat the simulation, if you will, is able to master flow state. You can shift time and space. You can achieve a lot of things in a small, compounded amount of time, and you were able to do so much more than other people are normally able to do. And also too, having that energetic alignment to whatever it is, that reality that you want, whatever situation that you want the simulation to shift you into, just getting into that alignment with it. Because oftentimes, like for example, we say it all the time in the community, if you hit the lottery, oftentimes people can lose it because internally you're not energetically aligned with that money, nor are you just at a level of maybe understanding of how money works and how you should function with it in this 3D reality, and how to make it work for you and not work against you, and not feel like you are in a fear state to where you either A, spend it all, or you spend none of it and like die worrying over it or something like that, or somebody robs you or something crazy like that, because all of those stories exist in this reality. Time is your friend if you allow it to be. But if you don't, time will be your foe, and you will feel as if it is a negative thing. Time should feel good to you. Time should feel like a worthwhile journey. And anytime that things don't go your way initially, I have to always remind myself this or something better. And if something hasn't arrived yet, I believe it's because it's fermenting and it will be producing the most expanded version of whatever it is that you're wanting if you stayed absolutely focused on that specific thing and continue to repetitiously align your thoughts, actions, and frequencies to the simulation. It will mirror you and you will get expanded reality, and you will collapse space and time, and it won't feel so bad, and you won't even be worried about collapsing space and time anymore. And that by the end of this video, you actually no longer care about collapsing time, and you are here to just enjoy the journey and have fun. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and until the next time, guys, I hope you all continue to manifest magic and resonate on your highest frequency. Bye, guys.